I used to think love meant safety with Arav. I thought I'd found that. Arav, are you home? I called out as I stepped into the apartment. His jacket was tossed over the couch again. Yeah. In the bedroom, he shouted back, voice casual like everything was normal. I set the grocery bags down and walked in. He was on his laptop, half-dressed, scrolling through something I couldn't see. Long day? I asked. Sitting at the edge of the bed, he nodded, eyes still glued to the screen. Back-to-back meetings. Investors are driving me insane. I made your favorite pasta. Figured you'd want something warm. That's sweet, he said, still not looking at me. I smiled, but it didn't reach my chest. That ache had been there for weeks now. You've been coming home late a lot, I said softly. He finally looked up. It's just work, Myra. No. I hesitated. You've been distant. His jaw tensed. Not this again. I'm not accusing you. I'm just saying it feels like something's changed. He sighed and set the laptop aside. You're imagining things. Seriously, we're getting married in 3 months. Do you think I'd be planning a wedding if something was wrong? I'm not imagining how cold you've been, I whispered. Arav walked over, placed his hands on my shoulders. Babe, stress does that to people. Don't let your overthinking ruin what we have. There it was again, your overthinking. I nodded. Because fighting never led anywhere. Later that night, he fell asleep quickly, like always. I lay beside him, staring at the ceiling fan, watching it spin in slow, suffocating circles. Maybe he's right. Maybe I'm just tired. I turned on my side and tried to focus on his breathing. Something jabbed my foot under the bed. I sat up, confused. Slid my hand underneath and felt metal cold solid. I pulled out a gold bracelet. Not mine. Then. Elegant. Definitely not something I'd wear. My stomach dropped. Arav, I whispered. He didn't move. I shook him gently. Arav, still nothing. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the bracelet in my palm. My heart pounded against my ribs. Maybe it was a gift. Maybe he bought it for me and forgot to give it. Yeah, right? I put the bracelet on the nightstand and curled back into the covers. He stirred beside me, mumbling something. I leaned closer. Alia. My blood froze. He turned in his sleep, a smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Alia. I blinked. Once, twice, then sat up, pulling the blanket off me like it burned. Who the hell was Alia? I stared at him for what felt like forever. His face looked peaceful, innocent. Even, I wanted to shake him awake, scream, ask a million questions. But all I did was whisper, "Who are you?" and he just kept sleeping. Arav, I said, holding out the bracelet. Whose is this? He glanced at it, then at me. Where did you find that? Under our bed. He tilted his head. So now you're digging through things looking for evidence? No. I just had poked my foot. I paused. I've never seen this before. He gave me that look. The one that made me feel 12 again. Like I'd done something wrong without knowing it. Seriously, Myra? He crossed his arms. You're being paranoid again, yes. Again, this is exactly what I mean. You always jump to conclusions. First it's my late nights. Now it's jewelry. What next? A hair on my shirt. It's not nothing, I whispered. You said Alia's name in your sleep. His mouth twitched, something between a smirk and a scoff. You're really going to throw dreams at me now? She's your assistant, exactly. She works for me. Do you know how many names run through my head every day? Maybe I was dreaming about a client email. God. Then why the bracelet? He stepped closer, voice softer. I don't know. Maybe it's yours. You forget things all the time. I stared at him. I don't forget jewelry I never owned. You sure? He said, brushing hair from my cheek. Because lately you've been imagining a lot. There it was, you're imagining things. Like the time he told me he never promised to come to my mom's memorial, even though I remembered his exact words. Or when he said I'd made up the weekend he vanished in Delhi. You must have mixed up the dates. He'd said, I just want the truth, I said, voice barely holding. And I want peace, he replied. But you keep turning every little thing into a crisis. I'm exhausted, Myra. I didn't say anything. He walked past me, brushing my shoulder as he left the room. I sat on the bed, clutching the bracelet like it could explain everything. Later that night, I opened my journal. I used to be confident. Now I apologize for breathing too loudly. I paused, tapped the pen. He makes me question my memory, my gut. My voice. 2 days passed before I could say anything out loud. Nisha showed up unannounced. Wearing leggings and fire in her eyes. You look like a ghost, she said, walking into my kitchen. I'm fine. No. You're not. You haven't texted in days, and when you do, you sound like a robot. I'm just tired. She stared at me. Tell me what he did. I looked down. He didn't do anything. That bad, huh? I exhaled shakily. I found a bracelet under the bed. He said it might be mine. Nisha's eyebrows shot up. Did you forget you're not blind? He said I'm paranoid. She sat across from me. Myra. This isn't love, this is control. No, it's just he's stressed, the business, the wedding, no. She cut in. You're making excuses for someone who's making you feel crazy. I felt tears welling up. He says I always overreact, that I twist things. That's what gaslighting is, she said gently. I just want to believe he's still the man I fell in love with. Nisha reached over and held my hand. Maybe. That man never existed. The room went quiet. I don't know who I am anymore. I whispered. Yes. You do, she said. You're just buried under his version of you. That night, I opened my journal again. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't hit me. But I haven't smiled in weeks. Isn't that enough proof something's wrong? He left his laptop open. That was the first mistake. I'll be back in 20, Arav said. Grabbing his keys. Need to drop off some papers at Sean's, okay? I replied. Barely looking up from the couch. Want me to reheat dinner when you're back? Nah. I'll eat later. The door clicked shut. I stared at the open laptop glowing softly on the table. I didn't move. I wasn't looking for anything. I didn't need to. That part of me, the girl who snooped and hoped, died 2 weeks ago. But the screen lit up with a message before I could even look away. Alia, last night was perfect. Let's do it again. Same hotel. I blinked. No password. No lock screen. Just the chat thread open like it belonged to me. I don't know what I expected. Maybe denial, maybe nausea, maybe tears. But I felt still. Cold. Like my body went offline. I clicked the message. The entire thread popped up. Aliya. You always know what to say to me. Arav, you're the one who keeps me sane. Alia? She'll never know, right? Arav, she sees what I show her. That's the beauty of Myra. I covered my mouth with my hand, not to muffle a sob. To stop myself from screaming. My fingers moved before my heart could catch up. Screenshot, send to self. Log out. Then I stood up, grabbed my bag, slipped on my sandals, and walked out of the house like I was heading for groceries. Mossy opened the door before I even knocked. She blinked, confused. Myra? I didn't know where else to go. Myra? What? I need to sit. She stepped aside silently. I walked in, dropped my bag, and collapsed onto her couch like I had no bones left. She sat beside me without a word. Her hand rested gently on mine. Wanna talk? I shook my head. Want tea? Another shake. Silence sat between us like a guest, and then, all at once, the stillness shattered. He's cheating on me. Mossy didn't react, not with shock, not with a gasp, just a deep inhale. With Alia? I added. That assistant of his. I nodded. I saw the messages, I said, my voice thin. He said I only see what he shows me. Mossy's lips pressed into a line. You don't deserve that. I feel like an idiot. You're not. I feel empty. That makes sense. I should have left the day I found the bracelet. She squeezed my hand. You weren't ready then. I thought I could fix it. I thought if I was more understanding, more patient. You were already more than enough, Myra. I looked at her. Why did he do this to me? Her eyes softened. Because some people break others to feel whole. I broke then, not loudly, no sobs. No screaming, just a silent collapse like a wave pulling under, quiet, but total. Later that night, I curled up in the spare bedroom. My phone buzzed once. Arav. Did you go somewhere? I stared at the screen. He didn't know. He had no idea I'd seen it. She'll never know, he said. I deleted the message without replying, then turned off the phone. and pulled the blanket over my head like it could shield me from ever loving him again. I didn't tell him I was leaving. No goodbye. No dramatic confrontation. No, you broke me. I just vanished. Are you sure you don't want to block him? Nisha asked, sipping her coffee across from me. You keep checking your phone. I'm not waiting for him to call, I said. She raised an eyebrow. I'm waiting to stop wanting him to. She nodded. That'll take time. I looked out the window. Mozzie's balcony had this view, quiet, open. Nothing like the suffocating walls of the apartment I shared with Arav. That version of me? The one who stayed. She died the moment I read She'll Never Know. You're safe here, Mossie said. That night, placing a soft hand on my back. Take all the time you need. I don't know who I am without him, I admitted. Then it's time to meet her. Week 1, I cried a lot. Not because I missed him, because I missed me. Week 2, I started writing again. Every lie. Every time he twisted the truth. You're imagining things. You're desensitive. You always do this. Week 3, I walked into therapy. So what brings you here? Dr. Isha asked gently. I stared at her wall, not ready to meet her eyes. I think I'm grieving someone who's still alive. Yourself. I blinked. I didn't expect that to hit. It usually does. You're tracking patterns. Nisha said one afternoon, flipping through my notebook. This is honestly genius. I don't want revenge, I whispered. She looked up. Then what? I want clarity. I want proof that I wasn't crazy. She shut the notebook. You weren't. But if this helps you believe it, keep going. Sean called me the next day. I stared at his name flashing on my screen. Unsure if I should answer, I picked up on the 5th ring. Myra? Hi. I wasn't sure you'd pick up. I wasn't sure either. Long pause. I wanted to say I'm sorry, he said quietly. I knew. I figured, I said. You were always at those late night meetings. I saw them together in hotels, at work events. She used to call him by a nickname only you used. My throat burned. Then why didn't you say anything? Because I was a coward. I waited. I didn't want to get in the middle. But that was a mistake. You didn't deserve that. No, I said. I didn't. I'd like to help now, if you'll let me. I didn't say yes, but I didn't say no either. That night, I stared at the ceiling of Mozzie's spare room and whispered, I'm not going back. Because something inside me had shifted. That old version of me, the one who made excuses for him, the one who called manipulation mood swings, the one who apologized just to keep peace. She was gone. I wasn't sure you'd actually show, Tanya said, sliding into the booth across from me. I wasn't sure either, I replied. I almost backed out. Then I'm glad you didn't. She looked around the cafe. You're safe here. No one from the office comes to this side of town. I sipped my water. I'm not here to cause drama, I know. Tanya leaned forward. But you deserve to know the truth. My fingers tightened around the glass. So the rumors about Alia's promotion? They're not rumors. She didn't earn that role. It was compensation. Compensation for what? For keeping quiet, for being useful, for sleeping with the boss. My chest didn't hurt anymore. Not in the way it used to. Now it just burned with clarity. I knew it, I whispered. You weren't crazy, Myra. She said gently. Everyone saw something. But no one said anything. Why? Because he was untouchable until now. 2 nights later, I sent the files, emails, screenshots, audio clips, whistleblower reports. Every piece of manipulation he left behind. Like crumbs, I used to throw away a mail. No name, no trail, just the truth. Then I watched. Nisha burst into my room the next morning, phone in hand. You've seen this, right? I sat up. What? She tossed her phone into my lap. Read it. Line 2. Sources allege toxic culture, favoritism, and hush payouts in one of Mumbai's top design firms. Anonymous employees say leadership fostered manipulation. Blurred personal professional lines. That's him, she said, breathless. That's all him. My hands trembled. I didn't name him, I said. You didn't have to. The truth speaks. 3 days later, his name started trending. Hashtag men exposed, hashtag abuse of power, hash silent no more. I heard investors are pulling out. Sean said over the phone that night. The board wants him to step down. It's chaos. You're still there? I asked, only long enough to clean up the mess, then I'm out. Did he say anything about me? Not yet, but he's spiraling. I didn't reply. Sean added, whatever you did, it's working. That night, I pulled out an old photo. Me and Arav at the beach before it all fell apart. I was laughing in the picture. He was holding me close. We looked happy. But I remembered that day. He made me cry in the car before. That photo told me I was ruining his mood. Said I was too needy. I held the photo over a candle flame. It curled at the edges, cracked, blackened. Gone. Another message popped up in the inbox I created just for this. Anonymous tip received. Thank you for your courage. Funny. It wasn't courage. It was survival. Mas. I knocked gently on my door. Sweetheart, yeah? She stepped in with a warm smile. I just saw the news. You okay? I'm not sad. That's something. I thought justice would feel loud, like revenge. And how does it feel? Quiet, I said. But final. She sat beside me. Some storms don't need thunder. Just wind strong enough to knock everything down. I looked at her. Do you think he knows it was me? She smiled. Does it matter? The knock came at 9:42 p.m. Not a text, not a call. A knock. Soft, repeated, hesitant. I stood still in the hallway, heart quiet but steady. Mossy looked up from the couch, brows raised. You expecting someone? I shook my head. No. I opened the door. Arav stood there unshaven, eyes red. Hair a mess, Myra. He breathed out like my name was oxygen. I didn't say anything. Can I come in? I stepped aside. He walked in like a man who'd lost everything and still hoped the furniture would recognize him. You look different, he said, voice low. I am. Double quote silence. He turned to face me. I made a mistake. Which one? He blinked. Leaving you. I didn't flinch. She was. He paused. A distraction, a mistake. I was weak, and I know that doesn't excuse it. But you were the only one who really saw me. I saw what you wanted me to see. No. He said quickly. You saw me. Even when I was cruel. Even when I didn't deserve it, you stayed. I folded my arms, and you took that as permission. I didn't know how much I needed you until you were gone. You didn't know because you never looked. He stepped forward. I do now. I've lost everything, my name, my company, my peace. But I don't care about any of that. I just want you back. Now that everything else is gone, no. He said, his voice cracking, because nothing ever felt real without you. I didn't even know who I was anymore. You never did, I said quietly. You just borrowed pieces from people you used. He wiped his face, trying to hide that. He was crying. I thought you'd hate me. I did, and now, I said, stepping closer. I don't feel anything. He nodded slowly, like he understood. Then he did something I didn't expect. He opened his arms. I walked into them. He held me like he'd never let go. I let him. His chest shook, his breath hitched. I'm sorry, he whispered. I know, I said. You believe me? I believe that you're sorry for losing me, not for hurting me. His arms loosened, just slightly. I don't know how to fix this, he said. You can't. But we could try. No, I said softly, you can try to be better. But not with me. He stared at me, confused. Then why are you holding me? Because I needed to know I could and still walk away. He pulled back. I smiled. Goodbye, Arav. But go home, I said. He looked at me like he still thought this was a pause, not an ending. I opened the door. He stepped out, blinking like he wasn't sure what just happened. And then I closed it, leaned against the wood, exhaled. He doesn't own a piece of me anymore, I whispered. My phone buzzed 3 times before I finally looked. Trending. #Arav Sharma exposed. Nisha's voice came through the speaker in a hushed scream. Myra, it's out, it's everywhere. I know, I said, already reading the headline again. Power, silence, and the price of loyalty. A former insider speaks out, by Anonymous. It wasn't just about Arav and Alia. It was about the rot that spread through that firm like a quiet virus. His leadership. The fear, the manipulation, the blurred lines, every piece of it documented. I still can't believe you actually published it, Nisha said. God, it's brutal. It was the truth. You didn't even put your name on it. Wasn't about credit. She paused. Does it feel like justice? No, I said. But it feels like freedom. Later that night, Sean called. I told you I'd help, he said. You did more than that, I replied. He deserves worse. He'll get it. People are distancing already. Clients, investors, even his board, let them. I wish I hadn't kept quiet for so long. You spoke up when it mattered. You okay? I looked at the ceiling. My own ceiling. My own apartment. My own quiet. Yeah. I whispered. I think I finally am. The next morning, news broke that Alia had resigned. She didn't release a statement, just left. By afternoon, Arav stepped down as CEO. By evening, 3 sponsors pulled out. In my night, his LinkedIn was flooded with words like disappointed, unethical, and no longer associated. Nisha sent me screenshots all day. He looks so small, she said, forwarding the video of him avoiding reporters. He always was. 3 days later, I walked into the gallery. My palms were sweating. I wasn't hiding behind a firm anymore. Or a man. This was my project, my name on the wall. The model stood tall in the center, clean lines. Soft curves, a balance of strength and serenity. Modern sanctuary, the curator read aloud. Designed by Myra. I stared at the plaque until my vision blurred. Then I heard Mozzie's voice behind me. You proud? I turned, terrified. She smiled. That means you care. I don't know what comes next. You breathe. You build, and you never dim yourself again. I looked at her. I think I forgot how light feels. She touched my shoulder. Then get used to it. Outside the gallery, my phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. Arav, you win. Happy now? I didn't reply. Not because I didn't have words, but because silence was louder than any response. I deleted the thread and I walked away for the first time, completely weightless. I sat on the same patch of sand where he once whispered, "Forever, Myra." It used to echo like a lullaby. Now it sounded like a lie I swallowed whole. The wind was softer today, the sky less dramatic, and the waves, God, the waves didn't ask me to stay. I pulled out my phone. My fingers hovered over the gallery, every smile, every kiss, every lie dressed as a memory. Delete. Are you sure you want to delete all 1,247 items? I tapped yes, without blinking. Then I scrolled to his name, Arav Sharma. Even the emoji made me sick. Blocked. Deleted. Erased. His voice would never live inside my device again. Myra. I looked up. Kabir stood a few steps away, holding 2 cups of chai. You actually came, you asked. I wasn't going to say no. He handed me the cup and sat beside me, leaving just enough space. Respectful, always. I thought you might change your mind. I almost did, I admitted. Didn't know if I was ready. He nodded. Ready to forget? No, I said. Ready to remember without falling apart. He stayed quiet, just sipped his chai. I pointed at the water. Right there. He kissed me for the first time, told me I felt like home. Kabir didn't say anything. He just listened, and right there, I nodded toward a small rock jutting out. Is where he promised we'd grow old together. Did you believe him? Every damn word. Do you still want that with someone? He asked carefully. I don't know, I said. Right now. I just want to be mine. He smiled. That's a beautiful thing to want. We sat like that for a while. To people, not rushing, not pretending, just breathing. I don't think love broke me, Kabir. He turned to look at me. No. He did. Arav broke me. The man, the manipulation, the gaslighting. And you still stood back up, barely, but you did. I laughed quietly. Everyone talks about healing like it's this grand, glowing moment. But mine was ugly and lonely and full of journals no one will ever read. They don't need to. He said, "You're here. That's the story." I glanced at him. Why are you being so kind to me? Because you deserve it. You don't even know all the things I allowed. He cut me off. You survived something no one saw. You don't owe anyone shame. I blinked, swallowing the tightness in my throat. Sometimes I think I stayed because I didn't know I had permission to leave. You have permission now. I nodded. And Myra, if you ever forget, I'll remind you. My heart didn't race, my hands didn't shake. There were no fireworks or violins. Just stillness. Gentle, golden stillness. That's what safety felt like. I'm not looking for anything, I whispered. Not now. I'm not asking you to, he said. I'm just here, no agenda. I don't need to be fixed. He looked at me like I was art. Good, because you're not broken. I smiled for real. I wish I could tell the girl sitting on this beach a year ago that someday she'd come back here and feel okay again. She'd be proud. He said, I think she would. The sun dipped lower, the tide crept toward our toes. You ready to go? Kabir asked. Not yet? He nodded and leaned back, letting the breeze carry whatever silence we didn't need to fill. As I watched the horizon blur into gold, I whispered to myself, he broke me. But I survived, and for the first time in a long time, I believed it.